The universe is vast. It's filled with wonders we can see and touch, but, it's also filled with shadows. In these shadows, questions linger, questions that have no answers. These are the stories that stay with us. They whisper to us in the quiet of the night, reminding us that not everything can be explained. Some truths are hidden, lost to time, or simply beyond our understanding. They are the great mysteries of our world, challenging what we think we know, pulling at the very fabric of our reality. We are creatures of curiosity. We seek answers, we build theories, we search for clues. But what happens when the trail runs cold? What happens when the clues lead nowhere? We're left with a void, a space filled only with speculation and wonder. These unsolved puzzles are more than just stories, they're a mirror reflecting our own limitations. On March 8, 2014, a plane took off from Kuala Lumpur. It was Malaysia Airlines Flight 370, headed to Beijing, China. On board were 239 souls. The flight began like any other. The plane climbed to its cruising altitude. The pilots communicated with air traffic control. "Good night, Malaysian 370" were the last words heard. Then, silence. The plane disappeared from civilian radar screens. It simply vanished from the sky, leaving behind a world full of questions and a void of answers. The search that followed was the largest in aviation history. Ships and planes from many nations scoured the seas. They searched the South China Sea. They searched the vast Indian Ocean. They were looking for any sign of the plane, a piece of wreckage, an oil slick, anything. But for weeks, they found nothing. It was as if a Boeing 777, a giant of modern engineering, had been erased from existence. The world watched, holding its breath, hoping for a miracle that never came. The silence from the ocean was as deafening as the silence from the cockpit. Theories began to surface, each more troubling than the last. Was it a catastrophic mechanical failure? If so, why was there no distress call? The plane's communication systems were deliberately turned off. Its flight path was changed. How can a 200-foot-long airplane just disappear? In the cold December of 1872, a ship was found adrift in the Atlantic Ocean. It was the Mary Celeste. It was sailing aimlessly, its sails slightly torn. The ship that found it, the DEI Gracia, approached with caution. They hailed the ship. There was no answer. A boarding party was sent over to investigate. What they found was a ghost ship. The ship was in good condition. Its cargo of industrial alcohol was untouched, food on board, water on board. But the crew was gone. The ship's logbook was found in the mate's cabin. The last entry was written 10 days earlier. It noted the ship's position. It gave no sign of trouble. On the captain's table, a meal was left uneaten. Personal belongings in the crew's quarters, money left behind, valuables left behind. The ship's only lifeboat was missing. This suggested the crew had abandoned the ship in a hurry. But why? The ship was perfectly seaworthy, no sign of a struggle. The story of the Mary Celeste haunts us, a locked room puzzle on the open sea. In a library at Yale University sits a book. It is not a large book, but it may hold the biggest secrets. It is called the Voynich manuscript. The book is filled with writing, but no one on Earth can read it. The alphabet is unknown, and the language is a mystery. For centuries, the world's best code breakers have tried to decipher it, and they have all failed. The book is also filled with strange drawings. Plants that do not exist on our planet, charts of stars and galaxies that look alien, drawings of naked women in strange, elaborate plumbing systems. The manuscript's history is as mysterious as its content. Carbon dating tells us it was likely made in the early 15th century. We know it was owned by an emperor, owned by alchemists. Then it disappeared for hundreds of years. It resurfaced in 1912 when a book dealer named Wilfred Voynich bought it. Since then, it has puzzled everyone who has studied it. Is it a secret code? Is it the lost language of a forgotten people? The book remains open, but its story is closed to us. In 1587, a group of English settlers landed on Roanoke Island. It is off the coast of what is now North Carolina. More than 100 men, women, children came to build a new life. Their leader was John White. He was also an artist. He drew pictures of the new world. Soon after they arrived, his daughter gave birth. The baby was named Virginia Dare. She was the first English child born in the Americas. But supplies were low. John White had to sail back to England to get more food and tools. He planned to return quickly, but a war between England and Spain delayed him. It was 3 long years before he could finally sail back to Roanoke. In 1590, he arrived at the island. He was eager to see his family and his colony. But when he got there, he found nothing. The houses were gone. The fortifications were dismantled. The only clue they left behind was a single word. Carved into a wooden post was the word Croatoan. In the winter of 1959, 9 experienced hikers went on an expedition. They were students from a Russian university. They ventured into the Ural Mountains. When they failed to return, a search party was sent. The searchers found their abandoned tent on a slope known as Kholat Syakhl, or Dead Mountain. What they discovered next has become one of the most bizarre and terrifying mysteries of all time. The tent had been cut open from the inside. The hikers had fled in a panic. They ran out into the freezing night in temperatures far below zero. Some had no shoes, others wore only their underwear. The first 2 bodies were found under a large pine tree next to the remains of a small fire. It took 2 more months to find the remaining 4 hikers. They were buried under 15 feet of snow in a ravine. To make things even stranger, some of their clothing was found to be radioactive. 9 capable people, fleeing their only shelter into deadly cold, driven by a fear we may never understand. On November 24, 1971, a man bought a plane ticket in Portland, Oregon. He used the name Dan Cooper. He was quiet and polite. He wore a business suit. He ordered a drink. After takeoff, he handed a note to a flight attendant. The note said he had a bomb in his briefcase. He demanded $200,000 in cash. He demanded 4 parachutes. His demands were met when the plane landed in Seattle. The passengers were released. The plane took off again, now heading toward Mexico City. Somewhere between Seattle and Reno, Nevada, D.B. Cooper did something incredible. In the middle of the night, in a raging storm, he went to the back of the plane. He lowered the rear stairs. Then, with the money strapped to his body, he jumped. He leaped out of a Boeing 727 flying at 10,000 feet. He disappeared into the dark and stormy wilderness below. The FBI searched for years. But in 1980, a young boy found something. He found 3 bundles of rotting cash. The serial numbers matched the ransom money given to Cooper. The name D.B. Cooper has become a symbol of mystery itself, a ghost who fell from the sky and was never seen again.